There we go. Welcome everyone to the 2022 Coordinated Call for Projects for the Planning and RTAP programs. So to ask questions during the webinar, asking that you email PTN_program mgmt@TxDOT.gov. So that's PTN_program mgmt@TxDOT.gov. It's a lot. Our responses to the questions will be posted on the Public Transportation Division website, and there's a time frame for those questions. I'll be posting that. And all of the coordinated call webinars will be recorded and posted to the PTN website. If I could ask the folks who are just joining, if you can make sure that you're muted. Great. So our agenda this morning, we're talking about the webinar purpose, going over the important points, talking about the programs, looking at the schedule, how to ask questions and finding the Q&A, and then eGrants assistance. So the purpose of the webinar is to explain the program requirements for planning an RTAP, to review the application instructions, and then to see the applications in eGrants. Sorry, a little technical difficulty. So the important point, so the coordinated call is distributed biennially, so every other year. And the next call for projects will be in fall of 2024. Projects in this coordinated call can be for a maximum of 2 years. They can start in either FY23 or in FY24. So you could have a project that doesn't start until FY24. That's an option in the program. And you'll need a master grant agreement and current FTA and TxDOT certs and assurances on file. The MGAs are done every 5 years. So if you've received grants from us in the past year, you already have one of those on file, but the FTA and certs and assurances are annual. So important points in general about the applications, everything is submitted through eGrants. So your status must be application submitted for review by February 4th, 2022 at 5 p.m. Central Standard Time to be considered submitted on time. I always recommend that folks try to get things done a little bit ahead to account for any technical difficulties. But it's important that that be received by 5 p.m. in the application submitted for review status. Please answer the questions thoroughly. It's a competitive call. In the instructions, if you've already had a chance to look at the instructions, you'll see that there's guidance in blue text in the different program sections of the application instructions. It may not cover all of the aspects of the question, but we've provided that information there to assist as you're answering. And for multi-phase projects, we'll need the detailed information regarding past, current, and future phases and all of the funding sources that are involved with the project. So we ask, please read the entire call for projects instruction documents. There is a lot of good information in there, and we've spent a lot of time putting it together to be as helpful as possible for everyone. Reading it can save you a lot of heartache and will make completing the application easier. So the first 4 sections and then the glossary and attachments, those apply to all the applications, so you'll definitely want to read through all of those. Section 5 applies to the individual programs. If you know what programs you are applying for, if it's something you've applied for in the past, you can read the individual program sections. If you're not sure what would be eligible for which. I recommend reading all of the program sections. So here we're talking about planning and RTAP. So the general description of the planning program, it focuses on developing projects and strategies to support the coordination, public, private, specialized, and human service transportation services. And funds can also be used for training, educational programs, and demonstration projects. RTAP is for designing and implementing training and technical assistance to meet the needs for rural transit operators. This can be training and planning materials, technology projects. It's quite a broad range. And there is overlap between the two programs. Use your best judgment to determine which program is most appropriate. When the applications come in, we may determine that the application would be better suited in a different program, but please try your best to get it in there. So the planning assistance objectives for the program, what we look for in projects would be to make better use of existing resources, developing best practices for asset management or safety programs, developing and evaluating public transportation related demonstration projects, operational efficiency and effectiveness studies. You see an asterisk by that. There's also an asterisk by develop initial feasibility and concept elements of facility project development projects. Those two are also eligible under our TPSP program, and I'll get to more details on that in just a sec. So there's a full list here of the eligible work activities for planning. So you've got studies relating to management, operations, et cetera. Those would fall under potential for TPSP. Evaluations of previously funded projects, preparing for capital improvements, systems analysis, analyses of social, economic, and environmental factors, demonstration projects, public involvement, multimodal facility planning, and computer hardware and software needs. So the full description of this is in the instructions, and you can refer back to this slide. So I mentioned the Transit Technical Services Program. If it's eligible for that, and you've put an application in through the coordinator call, we may end up moving it to the TTSP program. And that would mainly be projects that are financial management and analysis, capital project development, any of the phases, and operational and service analysis. So if your project does fall under any of those categories, you may want to consider TTSP as an option to start. The division reviews the requests generally in April, August, and December. Important thing to note that TTSP is not competitive, and the nature of the program is that it doesn't require procurement. So I definitely recommend looking into the project. It's open to rural transit districts who are TxDOT subrecipients. I believe that would be everyone. Everyone on a call at least is a TxDOT subrecipient. It's open to rural transit districts. We may end up opening up the program based on the availability of funding. There's a link here to more information. But yeah, I definitely do recommend if your project falls under these, do have a look at the TTSP application. It would give you more time to get your application together, and it's not a competitive process. So those were the planning objectives. Now we have the RTAP objectives, and this is promoting safe and effective delivery of public transportation in rural areas. Of course, RTAP, the R is rural, and to make efficient use of public and private resources, development of state and local capacity for addressing training and technical assistance, improving the quality of information and technical assistance, facilitating peer-to-peer assistance. That can be taking advantage of best practices in other areas of the state, and supporting the coordination of public, private, specialized, and human service transportation services. So there are three categories of RTAP eligible projects. They would fall under training, technical assistance, and research. The training, you've got specialized training courses for the region or a particular group. Again, talking about the peer-to-peer training, or engaging a specific trainer or training organization to provide a class or event. Technical assistance, this is a fairly broad category. It can be everything from developing a cost allocation plan, operational and route studies, and management and review. This can also get into technology, purchasing technology to assist along these objectives. And then research, determining the effectiveness of routes or organization services, looking at feasibility and consultation with local institutions. So again, the project submitted must meet the scope, objectives, and funding requirements identified in the program information for the RTAP program, and that's in the application instructions. So here is our timeline. We've got, last week, the notice of opportunity was available. We've got the webinars. There's one left today on RD and ICB. The rest of those will be, have already been recorded and will be posted to the website. That usually takes a couple of days to go through our process. We've got marked with a nice red spot there. The applications are due February 4th by 5 p.m. Central Standard Time. The recommended projects will go for commission approval on June 30th, aiming to have the PGAs distributed August 1st and executed September 1st in 2022. And that would, being executed on September 1st, they would be for FY 23 and 24. So asking questions, if you need clarification of anything that I've talked about or we'll be talking about, there's an email address. Again, that's ptn_programmgmt@TxDOT.gov. We ask that you not contact the PTCs or program managers directly for this because it is a competitive program. We want to make sure that everyone is getting the same information. All of the questions are due by January 7th, 2002. I recommend that you thoroughly review the application instructions and the applications themselves before that date to make sure that you can get all your questions in on time. Our responses will be posted on the website. Also advise that you check the website periodically for different updates. If there's additional information or corrections or presentations to be posted, those are going to go right up on the website. And the week after January 7th, we'll be posting the final Q&A document with all of the answers to the submitted questions. Again, right on the PTN website. So for eGrants assistance specifically, we have a help desk. They are wonderful people. There is an email address for them, ptn-egrantshelp@TxDOT.gov. And just to note that this is a dash on the previous email address, it's an underscore. And the phone number is 512-486-5957. They're available 8 to 4, Monday through Friday, and closed on federal holidays. It's a great team of folks. Please let them know if you're having any issues, and they can get you straightened out. So again, I've been referring to the webpage. Here is the webpage information. When this gets posted, you'll have a link. Here's where all of the information will be, and it's under the, if you see at the very bottom there, current calls for projects. So at this point, we'll transition to actually looking in eGrants. So when you log in, All of the applications are available as opportunities. So you'll click to view available opportunities. And then planning and RTAP are actually right near the bottom. So look at the planning application. When you initiate the opportunity, that's the only time you'll be navigating to it from there. To find it in the future, you'll have to search under application PGA, but can mouse over where it says forms menu to see the different parts of the application. The applicant information is the same for pretty much all of the different applications in the coordinated call. The general project evaluation, demonstration project evaluation, and I believe there's another specific RTAP form that would be different for each. There's also an obligation certification, basically saying that the information presented is true, and the budget and milestones. So looking at this, the general project evaluation is the page that's scored. There are some questions that are dependent on others. If you select yes for one, another question will pop up underneath it. Anything where there are multiple lines, like here, if you enter information, and click save, it'll put in additional rows for you. It'll also show you a lot of the questions are required. If you save the page before everything is filled out, it'll tell you which questions are required. So that can be handy. The website will time out after 15 minutes between you clicking on buttons. I recommend that you answer your questions in like a Word document on the side and prepare to paste those in, because the website doesn't know if you're just typing in the window for 15 minutes. It relies on the clicks for the timing. And it's easy to get interrupted and have that 15 minutes go by, and don't want to have anybody lose any work like that. So it's, the section demonstrated need and project description, linking that to the 5-year plan, talking about your project goals, specific tasks. And then for the planning projects, we've updated the application to include a project work plan for specific information, going in for information on the stakeholders and how internal evaluation of the project would proceed. If this is a planning application, if you're looking at a demonstration project or pilot project, there's a separate form for that. And pilot projects require the completion of an evaluation report at the end of the project as a deliverable. Another required form. One of the most important forms are the budget and milestones. So for this, you'll put in the specific category, the specific AOI. You fill out the information that's not grayed out. So for example, these are filled in by PTN. Extremely important, and you'll have to scroll over to get to it, are the milestones for each item on the budget. There's an RFP. We need a date for that. Contract award. This form is used for all of the applications, so there won't be vehicles involved in this. but we also need the estimated contract complete date. These are the dates that your application will be tracked against when you do the milestone progress reports quarterly on the PGA. So we need values for these. It requires an estimated contract complete date, but if there is any procurement, we need that information in there as well. And that's in part, we need to report this information to the FTA because they want to know what we're doing with their money. So that's a quick look at the planning application. Have a look at the RTAP application. So the RTAP has the general applicant information, which is shared by all the applications, and the general project evaluation. And the questions are very similar between the two programs because there is significant overlap. A handful of variations, but again, this will get into relating to the 5-year plan, goals, and objectives. I know the 5-year plans are currently in process in a lot of places. If the information that you're pulling from is in the plan that's in process, you can indicate as you answer these questions that you're working from the plan that's in process. If there does happen to be a draft of the plan available, it'd be great if you can attach that to the application as well. And our RTAP also asks for a specific project work plan. And these programs, these projects are deliverables based in terms of reimbursement. So each project will have to have some form of deliverable, and that can be phased, that can be in multiple stages to determine when you can get the reimbursements, and we would be reviewing each of the deliverables. Again, looking at the roles and responsibilities of stakeholders, the experience and capacity of the organization, and how the project will be evaluated internally. I do like to remind folks as you're filling out the general project evaluation and the information on capacity, these applications are scored by internal PTN staff, by public transportation coordinators, but they are not coordinators from your district. So the folks who are scoring don't know the history of your organization or what you've done in the past. So don't need a complete CV, but a full description of what you're intending to do with the project, even if it is some kind of a continuation. Definitely need that. The general project evaluation is the basis of the scoring. So that's an overview of the eGrant side. I'd like to remind folks to look at the webpage for more information. There's a link to eGrants on the webpage and also in the application information for you to be able to get on there and start your application. Any questions with eGrants, you can contact our help desk. And if you've got questions about the specifics of the call for projects, we've got the PTN_program management at TxDOT.gov email address, and all questions are due by January 7th. So that concludes this webinar. Thank you very much for attending. Looking forward to some good applications.